Hi everybody, this is Jose Heredia with ADJ. Welcome once again to another Facebook Live. Today we got a very cool Facebook Live. We're going to be talking about an app that you could use to control your lights via wireless DMX. It is called the Airstream DMX Bridge. We have a hardware solution that you could buy for about $3.99, which is this box right here. We have it clamped onto the truss, and it has two antennas sticking out from each side. And what those two antennas are for your radio frequencies for both your Wi-Fi signal, which will be used to connect your iOS device, whether it be an iPad or an iPhone, and your Wi-Fi signal, which is used to connect the Airstream DMX Bridge to your lighting fixtures. In other words, it's a very simple and easy solution to be able to control your lights using your iPad or your iPhone. So applications are pretty much endless on this for all sorts of professionals such as mobile DJs, lighting designers, permanent installations like restaurants, clubs, and even theater applications. Using an iPad as your user interface, you can create scenes, shows, do all kinds of really cool stuff, and we're going to today show you how to quickly and easily get into the Airstream DMX Bridge. So why don't we go ahead and get started. All right, so before anything, there's a few things that you do have to do in order to get ready. First things first is once you buy your Airstream DMX Bridge from your local or preferred ADJ dealer, you're going to want to be able to download the application. It's a free app. There's no charge to download the app. You go to your iTunes store or your app store and search for Airstream DMX. And there's going to be a couple of apps under the Airstream moniker. Just pick the one that says Airstream DMX or Airstream Bridge DMX, and you're good to go. Once you've downloaded that app, you can go ahead and use it, or you could use it without the Airstream DMX Bridge, but you won't be able to control any fixture. So if you're thinking about buying it and you want to see how it looks and how it reacts, or if you want to follow along to the Facebook Live right now, just go ahead and pick up your iPad or your iPhone, and you can download the app within a few seconds, and you can come along in my journey into the Airstream DMX Bridge. So I've already downloaded the app into my iPad, and the next thing I have to do aside of downloading is to connect my iPad to the Airstream DMX Bridge, and the way we do that is through wireless Wi-Fi technology. This is normal, typical, your standard Wi-Fi technology, and so you would go to your preferences or your settings on your iOS device, whether it be an iPhone or iPad. You look for Wi-Fi settings, and here I have selected the Wi-Fi settings. You search through the available Wi-Fi settings, and in an area where there's a lot of congestion, you may see several Wi-Fi products being used, whether it be routers or servers, and you're going to want to select the one that says ADJ Airstream. You could rename this later on if you want to. We've renamed this ADJ Airstream Showroom, but the ADJ Airstream name should come up. And if you select it, it's going to ask you for a password, and that password by default is Airstream in lowercase. So if you type in Airstream, I've already done it already, so it's not going to give me the password capability, but if it gives you, if it's asking you for a password, it's Airstream all in lowercase. Once you've connected, you should be able to see a little check mark next to the name of the Airstream, in this case ADJ Airstream Showroom, and we should be good to go once we get that check mark completed. So I'm going to exit out of the settings. I'm going to go ahead and open my Airstream. I've kind of configured several apps related to the DJ use that I use for my personal use, and I'm going to put them in a group, and this group is called DJ. And so I've put my Airstream DMX right here. It opens up, and then right away it tells you if it's connecting to the device or not. Luckily, we have it already connected, and it gave me a confirmation that the device is connected to the iPad or iPhone. And if it's not connected, it will tell you right away that it's not connected, and you have to go back to your settings and try to find where and troubleshoot where your Airstream bridge may be, that you've typed in the wrong password, or there are probably several Wi-Fi signals around. In any case, when you open up the app, it'll give you your confirmation right away. Luckily, we're connected and good to go. So once we have the app open, now we come across to this screen, and this screen is our fixture screen. On the top says fixtures, and it has several buttons, and you can patch in several fixtures depending on your show. You don't have to patch in Wi-Fi fixtures from ADJ. You don't even have to patch in ADJ fixtures. You can patch in any fixture that has DMX capabilities. And you could use wireless or wired DMX, because in the box itself is an output for DMX. The standard 3-pin DMX wired is required. That way you could patch in your lights. Let's say you're running a goalpost and it's got full of lighting fixtures from several manufacturers, and some of them are wireless, some of them could be wired. It doesn't really matter. You could still run that wire and be able to daisy chain your fixtures. So we're going to go ahead and patch in our fixtures that we have. And today we got a treat. We got 2 Visi Hex Wash 7s, and we got 3 Element Hex IPs. The Element Hex IPs are in the back in the wall right here. They're going to kind of represent our uplighting setup. And this is kind of like a mock setup of a, let's say, a wedding for a mobile DJ. We got 2 movers on 2 totems, one on either side of the DJ booth. We got uplights all around the room. We're going to pretend we're setting up for this mock event. And we can add more fixtures or delete fixtures. The cool thing about the Airstream Bridge DMX or Airstream DMX Bridge is that you can save these setups, and using iTunes you can save them and use them for later, or transfer them to another iOS device. It's very flexible. We won't go into that today. Maybe at some point we'll do another video where we'll go deep into advanced stuff, but just for now, we're going to go ahead and just kind of give you the basics, an overview, a quick jump start. So we're going to go ahead and up on the upper right hand corner of the screen is a button that's called patch. I'm going to hit that button, and this is my patch screen that allows me to patch in the fixtures that I have. Now, depending on your situation, you may think about what your fixtures have as far as DMX modes, if it has a standard, basic, or extended DMX modes, or maybe on Parcans you may have DMX modes that have only 1 DMX channel versus 6 or 12 or 8. Kind of take that into consideration, make notes personally on your own to kind of figure out what your DMX outlook is going to be. And I've already taken the liberty of addressing these fixtures with their proper DMX channels based on where I want my DMX channels to be. And I've also taken the liberty of addressing the radio frequencies for my Wi-Fi devices. So both the Element Hex IPs on the floor and the movers, the Visi Hex Wash 7s, have wireless Wi-Fi DMX. And I've already preset those radio channels already beforehand. So I have them set at channel 13 for wireless DMX. We're going to be able to show you how to do that here in a DMX bridge. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and do that now just to make sure. So if I go up on my upper right hand corner under bridge, I can see that there are several options and settings for the Airstream bridge. Here we can turn on and off the Wi-Fi. Here we can select which Wi-Fi channel we want to pick to be able to get a nice clean signal. This is a really cool feature that allows you to kind of see, as far as the spectrum of Wi-Fi radio frequencies, which one's kind of clear if I wanted to go ahead and select that channel to keep it clear from any interference. And I've chosen channel 13 because it seemed to be at the very far end of the spectrum, and it seemed kind of clear. Now, granted, we're here at ADJ headquarters, and there's a lot of Wi-Fi signals floating around in the air. In your situation, you could be out in the field, and there's really no Wi-Fi signals at all, and you could get a clear channel no matter which channel you pick. So that's a good thing. However, there might be situations where you're competing other Wi-Fi channels, and so to be able to pick a channel that's kind of clear is going to be important to keep from dropouts from happening. So we've picked channel 13. We have a check mark on the right hand side. That confirms which channel I have. If I wanted to change it, I can select a different channel, let's say channel 6. It'll give me a check mark, and I would turn off the Airstream Bridge app, turn it back on to kind of confirm that selection. So I'm going to go back to channel 13 since that's the channel we're doing. We go back to the bridge settings and even go farther back into patch, and now I'm ready to go ahead and patch my fixtures into the Airstream Bridge. So I want my movers to be on the top of my patch. For instance, I want this one to be my first mover and that one to be my second. I'm going to go ahead and hit this button to be able to patch my fixtures. There are several ways of finding the fixture that you want. We have several manufacturers, not only ADJ, but I can hit the ADJ button and it should be able to open up. There we go. It opens up and it has a list of fairly recent list of fixtures that are available already. They have their profiles already built in, from park hands to ellipsoidals to effect lights to moving heads, all sorts of fixtures. And you could scroll through the list and be able to go and find your fixture. They're listed in alphabetical order, and then pick the fixture that you have depending on your setup. Another way of doing it is being able to use this little search bar, which is very handy. You hit the search bar on the top and you type in your specific fixture. In this case, we have the Visi Hex Wash 7. You could type in part of the word or just the first few letters and it will start to populate the list for you. So let's go ahead and hit Hex Wash, WX space wash, and already start to see the fixtures here. On the top here, it will list custom fixtures. I've been using the Airstream Bridge for Facebook Lives for all sorts of different demos of products, and I already had a Visi Hex Wash created that I've created. And another great thing about the Airstream Bridge is that if you do not find a fixture, you can easily create your own profile within a matter of seconds. It doesn't take up that much, and I'll show you that real quick. So if you find the fixture that you like, in this case we're running in a 21 channel mode, the Visi Hex Wash, you're going to hit that button right there, and it's going to create several other buttons. There's a plus and minus button, and that's to add fixtures. So if you want to patch in a certain amount of quantity of fixtures, let's say you have a whole row of 6 moving heads or 20 moving heads. In this case we have 2. I'm going to hit the plus and minus sign to get to 2. Right here the quantity will be 2, and once I'm satisfied with that quantity, I'm going to hit patch. Once that patch is in, I could go ahead and exit out of here and go back to the patch channel and see I have these 2 fixtures patched in. But let's just say theoretically that I am using moving heads or products that is not listed on the list, which is no big deal. And by the way, just real quick, if you wanted to delete this patch, just slide that tab or row to your left, and when you see that red delete button, you're going to go ahead and delete it, and it will remove that fixture from the patch. Once again, slide the row to your left, hit the delete button, and that will remove your patch fixture. So what you could do is hit the I button, and that will open up a profiler. And with the profiler, you could create your own profile. You can name the fixture. So if it's a fixture that you bought from the internet, has a generic name, let's say Big Show Light, you can name it whatever you like. Big Show Mover, let's say. Just some funky name, just for the purposes of demonstration. And there we go. I can change the image button or the button image to any sorts of available images. I could even take a picture of the moving head and be able to use it as my button name. But for right now, I'm just going to use the default, and I could rename the button name. So one is the file name. That will store that profile in the iPad or in the iPhone, and the other one is the button name. That will actually be the name that will come up underneath the button. So we'll just put mover for the sake of argument, M-O-V-E-R. And it'll start address is automatic. It'll start at number 1 since there are no other fixtures patched in. And here are the number of channels. Now this is very important because each fixture has different feature sets and dimming or DMX channels. So if I have the manual, it will list all the channels available. In this case, we're using a moving head. Let's just say for the sake of argument, it has 12 channels. So right here, I would hit the plus or minus sign to assign the amount of channels that I need. So in this case, we need 12. And we're going to pretend that we have our manual in front of us. And here are the list of the available channels. I could leave them as is by default, channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, but it'll be a little bit easier to know and identify what the channels do. So I can go here and address or assign that this channel be a specific DMX trait. Sometimes the pan and tilts are in the beginning of the channel profile, so I could call this pan. And I could go into the different parameters here, but I won't get too detailed here at this point. I'm just going to simply name it pan for those of you who really want something real quick, and then go back to the profiler, and I can see that that particular DMX channel has been renamed pan. The next channel, channel 2, could be tilt. I could add the name tilt to that specific channel, go back to the profiler, and now that channel has been named pan and tilt. You can add pan fine, tilt fine, you can add dimming, you can add color wheels, excuse me, you can add strobes. All the different channels are laid out, and once you have all that profile made, you can simply say save, and it will be saved in its internal profile. This will create a custom profile. Do you want to proceed? Yes. And now successfully patched that fixture in. It's called Big Show Mover, and it's already been addressed. So, and it will be listed under custom profiles, Big Show Mover right there on the top. So if you need to repatch more fixtures in, or you wipe out your patches or your shows, or you're moving it from one device to another, you can always be confident in knowing that that patch and profile is available to you. So going back, I'm going to go ahead and remove this profile, this patch. I'm going to go ahead and correctly patch my fixtures. I got 2 Visi hex wash 7s. We're going to go ahead and add in the hex wash. There we go. We're going to go to 21 channel mode. We're going to add 2 fixtures. We're going to go ahead and hit the patch button, and that's going to go ahead and patch them in. I'm going to hit cancel over here, go back, and now we're patched in. I'm also going to patch in my uplights in the back. So in the back here we have 3 element hex IPs. I'm going to go ahead and do a search for element, E-L-E-M-E-N-T. And I can see here that we have several element profiles. I simply want I believe the 8-channel profile, because they have several different DMX modes. And I can see here the element hex 8-channel by ADJ is available. I'm going to go hit that and add 3 fixtures. I'm going to hit the patch button, and that's going to patch those in. And that is our setup for today. Now let's say I didn't really like, and this is just for one personal taste. If you're in a hurry, you probably want to skip this step, but if you're like me, I kind of want the picture of the fixtures in my patch, because when you go back to here, you'll be able to see those pictures. This is the fixture button page, and I kind of want to see the different fixtures I have. So if I go back to the patch, I hit the eye on the right, I can change the way the button looks. We have a list of available fixtures, such as this one. This looks like the Inno Pocket Z4. If I select that one, the check mark will appear, and then when I go back, that button will be available. So when I go back to my fixture button page, there it is, the Inno Pocket Z4 picture. Or let's say I downloaded a picture from the internet, or I've taken a picture of the Visi Hex Wash 7. I could do that as well. Let's go ahead and go back to that. Click the I button. Hit, instead of hitting the button for the button image, I go to the I, and I could pick photos that I've taken before. Here are some 80J elation pictures that I've downloaded from the internet. I could select the Visi Hex Wash. There it is. I could rescale it, choose whatever size I want, and if that's the picture I want, we'll go ahead and select it. I will select Use on the right hand side of the tab, and then when I go back, that picture will appear. I'm going to do it the same for this fixture as well, and that's in case I want to create my own custom picture. There we go. Select the 80J folder, and I have the fixture right there, and that's the one I'm going to use. And I go back, and now when I go back to my fixture page where all my fixtures are laying around, I can go ahead and see that my pictures, and that's just for customization for your own personal use. You don't have to do this. It's just to be easily identify what fixtures you have. All right, so now I have my 2 movers, my 3 uplights, and in your case you can have several fixtures. I'm going to want to go ahead and control them after I've had them patched in. So let's go ahead and control our moving heads. I select the 2 fixtures that I want to be able to control, and now I go down here to my bottom tab and I click on channels. That'll give me my channel faders like a traditional DMX controller. These faders are now available so that you can control and manipulate your fixture. We have pan, tilt, the colors, the dimming, the strobing, all available here. So I can go ahead and start panning. So you can see as I move that fader along, you're going to see the fixtures move. Got a little bit of tilt. And before I even select the color, I have to turn on the dimming at 100%. So I'm going to go down to dimming, move that fader all the way to the right, and I'm going to open up my shutter. In this case, there's an electronic shutter, but we're going to call it strobe. I'm going to move that to the right, and now I'm free to go ahead and add color. Let's start with green. We're going to start to see some green right there. So all the parameters are there. I could even adjust the zoom because this is a beam wash fixture. I could adjust the zoom and get creative with my setups. And it has all the other DMX parameters too. Let's just say, for argument, for a demonstration, that this is the scene we want. This is the green beam scene. And if I love the scene and I want to go ahead and save it, I could go up to the top here and hit the save button, and that will give me the opportunity to assign this particular scene to the scene buttons. There's a total of 72 buttons. That's the limit of how many scenes you can save in Airstream Bridge DMX. 72 scenes, and if I select the scene, it doesn't matter which button, I could select it, rename that scene. This is going to be the scene file name, which is going to be stored in the Airstream Bridge in your iOS device. And we're going to also give it a button label, just to name the label of the button. So this scene is going to be called Green Beam, Green space BEAM. We're going to have the ability to change the color of the button. So I could place my finger on the button and scroll left or right, inside the button, to be able to change the color of the screen. It goes from red to purple to yellow to green, all the way back to red. So this is a green scene. I'm going to select a green. I think that's about the color I want. Or I could take a picture of this scene, of my rig, and be able to add it as the image for the button. But in this case, I'm just going to leave it as a simple color button. I'm going to rename the button Green Beam, GREEN space BEAM. And I could assign it a fade time if I want that button to kind of fade in and out. And I could also enable the flash button. The flash button will allow me to have that beam turn on as soon as I press it. When I let go, it'll deactivate. In this case, I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm going to go ahead and save it once to be able to save that scene file name. I'm going to save it again so that it saves the button label name. And once it gives me the OK, I can go back to the sign, and now I have my first scene right here. So it's already selected since it's active. If I deselect it, it's going to turn off, and that scene will disappear. Turn it back on. This scene is active again. Let's say I want another scene similar to this one, just a different color. So I could go back to my channels, but instead of using the fader controls, I can go in and select a color using the color picker. This is really great, especially if you're using the Airstream bridge for uplighting. And I've done several events where I've sold the client uplighting packages with the Airstream bridge to be able to control the lighting wirelessly, and created scenes and some chases. So we can go in and adjust the color of the Visi Hex Wash 7s from red. Even change the intensity, going from a really dark red to very light red. And since this is a hex product, there are additional colors other than red, green, and blue that are available to us. So down here are the sliders for the additional colors. So for instance, if I want a blue, but I want a tinge of amber, I could slide that amber slider up a bit, and you'll be able to see that that color is being mixed together. Those two colors are being mixed together. Or maybe if I want a blue, but I want a nice pastel blue, I'm going to want to add a little bit of white to be able to give it a pastel instead of a really dark blue. And same thing with the UV. And same thing with the dimmer as well, so you could adjust the dimming for that particular scene. Once I'm satisfied with that scene, I can go ahead and click Save, select an available button to record that scene. We're going to rename this scene, instead of scene 2, we're going to rename it Blue Beam. There we go, Blue Beam. We're going to change the color of the button to kind of the color that corresponds to that scene. In this case, I'm just going to choose blue since that's the color we've picked. There we go, that's a blue. We're going to rename the button. Instead of button 1, the label will now be Blue Beam. Oop, did I misspell it? Sorry. All right. Blue-E. All right. I'm not going to assign a fade time. Actually, I am going to assign a fade time. Let's go ahead and give it a fade time of 2 seconds. So as I slide the fade time slider, you're going to see the seconds readout right here on the right. I'm going to give it 2 seconds. That way, when I hit that scene, it's going to fade in and fade out of the scene. There we go, 2.5 seconds. No flash for this one. We're going to go ahead and save it once for the file, save it twice for the button name. Overwrite it, click OK. Once it gives you the OK signal, and now when I go back to my scenes, it's already activated under my blue beam, but if I go back to green beam, it actually adds 2 scenes together, which is another great feature of the Airstream DMX, that you could apply 2 scenes together at the same time. However, if that's not desirable, you can go up here to the upper right hand side and click solo. When that solo button is pressed, it will turn red, and that means that only one scene will be applied. So here we go with the green beam. Now we go to the blue beam, and you notice that fade right there? That was pretty awesome. So it only will assign one button at a time if I am solo mode. If not, I'll deselect the solo mode. If it's grayed out, I could have 2 scenes at the same time, and having those 2 scenes together means that you could apply different effects for different scenes. So let's say you have your colors on one row of buttons, and you could have your movements on another row, and you can have your strobes and dimming on 2 other rows. So that way you could really get into creating some cool light shows for your next event, and that's what excites me. I love being able to quickly jump from one effect to the other without having to create scenes. It's all on the fly, and it's all done in Airstream Bridge DMX. Sorry, Airstream DMX Bridge. Okay, so there are other features that are really cool about the Airstream DMX Bridge, and that is being able to do effects. And one type of effect that we can apply here is the shape effects, because we have two moving heads. And this is the effects page that you can store up to, I believe, 24 effects. And I'm going to create a movement effect or a shape effect. I click up on the upper right hand side, a shape effects tab, and here I can create my different shapes for movement for my moving heads. We can start off with a simple circle. If I hit the circle tab right here below this gray box, this red circle appears, and that represents the shape in which the movement will now be created. Down here will give me the speed. There's a circle, draw button, and points button. Up here we have a speed, and then down here we have different other parameters that we can do. So just to kind of give you a preview, I can hit this play button, and now that shape will be activated into the current scene. So it's doing a circle. I could resize that circle by pinching and spreading that circle. I can move that circle around. Since I see it's kind of going slow, I'm going to give it a little bit more speed. Here we go. So that it's more visible and more attainable. So that circle is now moving in that general direction. If I move that circle around in the gray box, this represents the XY movement of the moving head. So an area like this, it's going to be closer towards the front. If I move it back here to the top, it's going to be represented by moving that moving head towards the back. It's very intuitive. Or if I just want it kind of in the center, if it's hanging upside down in a truss, I'm going to want to keep that circle in the center. Or if I just want a really wide spread, I can adjust the size of that circle out and be able to get a wider spread. If I wanted to create sort of like a offset or a phasing effect, that means that the two moving heads will not move identically to each other, as you see now. If I hit the speed button again, now we get the offset, and I can add a little bit of delay between the two moving heads. So if I slide that slider to the right, you're going to see there are two dots that represent the moving heads come and appear in a circle. And as I move the slider more to the right, the distance between the first dot excuse me, the distance between the first dot and the second dot will now be greater, and the offset will be more apparent in the physical world once you see the moving heads. So that is a really cool feature to be able to add offset. If you have multiple moving heads, let's say 2, 4, 6, or 8, you're going to see that offset more apparent. So in this case, I have the two moving heads moving independently in the shape of a circle from each other. Now going back, I'm going to remove the offset. Now they're moving identically to each other. I'm going to hit the speed button again. I can adjust the speed, kind of give it a more fast movement or slower movement. But let's just say I don't want that circle. What if I wanted to move in a square or a triangle? Well, you could simply do that. We're going to go ahead and stop the movement. We're going to hit points. Points will allow you to add different points, and it will move from one point to another in a straight line. So if I could start here, I want to do a circle, move down here to create, let's say, a square, move down here to the right, and then back up again, and then to close it, I got myself a square. If I play that back, you're going to see that it will follow the square, and it will move back. Since I didn't close the loop, I could clear it, start again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want to close that square. There's a button right here that says close. If I hit that, that's going to square or close off the square. And now if I play it back, that movement will continue around the square without interruption instead of finishing and then coming back. Another cool thing I could do is be able to create my own shape. So if I created, let's say, the infinity sign, I could start here and create my infinity sign, and if I hit close, it will close that shape. And now if I hit play, those moving heads will move according to that shape. Not only will it follow the shape, but also the speed in which I created the shape in. So let's say if I do the same infinity sign, I'm going to clear it, but this time I'm going to go fast on one part and go slow on another. So here we go, right there. That's kind of like my infinity sign shape. We're going to close that up and then hit the play. And you'll notice that the moving heads will follow along the line according to how fast I created that shape. A really cool effect if you want to do some very customized effects, especially when it comes to the speed at which that effect is created. So very flexible, very cool effect to do. Let's hit a offset and move that shape. We can even adjust the shape. And now, as you can see, we have the movement effect. I have my lighting designer turn off the lights. You'll be able to appreciate. We turn on a little bit of the fog so you can see those effects in the background. And if I like this scene, I love this scene, I'm going to go ahead and save that effects on the upper right hand corner. I'm going to select an empty slot, create beam movement, let's just call it. We're going to rename that file a shape effect, beam move. And on the button label, we're going to rename it move or B move. And we're going to click on save, success. And now when we go back, we can be able to see that scene. And when we click on that scene button, the scene we created is now being recreated. At the same time, I could go back to my scenes and remove the blue or the green. As you can see, I could pick whatever color I want as long as it's selected. Very cool as far as being able to easily create scenes on the fly and recall them quickly during your shows. A very flexible system. Now let's play a little bit with the uplights in the back. We're going to go ahead and turn back on the lights. We're going to clear out this scene on the upper left-hand corner. We can hit the clear button, and that will clear all the scenes, all the fixtures, everything. And now we can go ahead and work on patching in or working on the uplights in the back. So I'm going to deselect my movers. I'm now going to select my element hex IPs that I have in the back, and now I could go into creating some scenes with them independently of the moving heads. So now I have to adjust the dimmer to 100%, my strobe to fully on, and now I could change the colors and be able to work with the element hex that I have in the back. Let's say I want to do all amber. Or let's say I want to do multicolors. I want the middle color to be a different color. If I go back over here, I could select whatever fixtures I want or deselect whatever fixtures I want. The one in the middle is the one I want to control. Bring down the amber and add a red. I can go ahead and do that now. And now if I turn off the lights, you'll be able to see that I can independently control each one of the moving heads. Or let's say the middle one, I don't want red, I want a white. And we're going to call this New Year's Eve scene. Once I am happy with this scene or the way this looks, I can hit save on the top tab and be able to select an empty button, and we can save 72 scenes. I'm going to pick a scene in a different row, and I know that there are 6 buttons in each row. I can start off on number 7, and that will give me a different row so that I can easily identify a row of my moving head fixtures and a row of my park hand fixtures. This is just a personal way that I like to do it. And so we're going to call this one New Year's Eve. So we're going to rename the scene file name. We're going to call it New Year's Eve. And we're going to change the color of the button. And this is going to be kind of like a yellow. The button label will now be called NYE. I can name it different than the file name as long as you mentally know what they're named. Sorry, NYE. And since I have everything ready, click save. Save it first for the scene file name and save it again for the button label name. I could go back to my button scenes, and now that is selected and ready for me to recall and play back. And I could run my scenes with my moving heads independently and at the same time with what I have available. So there's so many, again, so many cool things that you could do. One last thing before we go into question and answers, which I'm sure you guys probably have tons of questions, is the ability to create color effects using not only the color picker, but also a color fader effect. So we're going to clear out the scene as well. We're going to go into our fixtures that we're going to control. In this case, we're going to control all 3 element hex in the background. We are going to go into the channel page. We're going to add the dimmer and the strobe to make sure that when we select a color that they'll be on. And I'm going to go here to upper right hand color to the color tab, and this is where the color picker resides. This is one of the coolest things about the Airstream DMX bridge, is being able to customize the colors available. So I could go ahead and pick whatever color I want just by putting my finger over the color, and it does cover a wide spectrum of different colors. So from red all the way to the upper left hand corner, a deep saturated red, to yellow, to green, to cyan, to blue, to magenta, all the way to red back on the other side of the spectrum. And I could even adjust the saturation, so I can have a really deep red or a very light red if I move that picker down on the part of the spectrum that shows a little bit lighter colors. Aside of that, I could even add a little bit of the amber down here on the slider. I can add a little bit of the white, a little bit of the UV, and even some of the dimming if I wanted to. So let's say I'm talking to the bride and she wants a Tiffany blue. This kind of looks what she likes as far as what Tiffany blue would look like. I would save it in my scene. Here I got an empty scene. I'm going to rename that file scene Tiffany blue or Tiff blue. I'm gonna, looks like that color is almost the same as that, so I'm gonna leave that color button alone. We're gonna relabel that button Tiffany blue, TFFANY. I could be misspelling Tiffany. And once I have all the parameters set, I could click on save, once for the scene file name, and then once again for the button label name. Once I get the OK, I can go back to my colors and then be able to go into the different scenes. So I have my New Year's Eve scene that I've created earlier. I could go into my Tiffany blue scene, all within a few seconds of each other, simply by creating these scenes. Now, let's say I want to fade, and we do have fade options. So back to the channel mode, into my color picker, there's a pan and tilt thing, but since these aren't movers, we're not going to go into that. Actually, sorry, my apologies. We're now going to go into effects. And with one of the effects, we have the shape effects like we did with the moving heads, and we also have a color effects with the element hex. These are for part cans and different effects that give off color, and even the movers as well. So on the top here is our color range. We're going from red from one side of the spectrum to red to the other side of the spectrum, and we could go ahead and apply this effect, and you can see we're going to go and do a nice even dim from one end of the spectrum to the other. Each one of these boxes represents the different element hex pars that we have. So we have 3 pars, there's 3 boxes. We could see which one is doing. We can add a little bit of offset. If we add a little bit of offset, that means that they're not all going to go at the same time. You can see a slight difference, giving you a really cool rainbow effect. The left element hex will start off, followed by the second one, and on so on and so forth. If we have a room full of part cans, you could create some really cool rainbow effects. Or let's say you just don't want the full spectrum rainbow, you just want a certain part. I just want yellow and aquamarine. You can have those 2 colors going back to back in offset, so I can increase the speed if I wanted to, and you're going to be able to see that effect come up. And you could even create some cool chases if you wanted to with this type of effect. Adjust the offset so that could be really off, or they'll be identical if I remove the offset. So that's one effect that you can do. We're going to do a rainbow scene and then be able to save this. I'm going to bring the speed down a little bit. And then we're going to save this effect. We're going to call this rainbow. And we're going to rename the file. We're going to rename the button rainbow. Click save once for the file name and save again for the button name. Once I get an OK, I can go ahead and be able to review my scene. So here in the effects, I have my moving effects, and now this is my color effect. So I can activate the color effect, and I can activate the scene effect. I could turn on the beams and be able to create the scene that I wanted. Isn't that cool? I'm sure you guys have tons of questions, and we'll go over the questions, but real quickly, some of the advanced features too. We'll go over some. Great, thanks for mentioning that. So in the chat room itself, we have Marco Segura, who are our product specialist here at 80J. He's available to answer any questions, which I'm sure he's doing. We also have Arnaldo Offerman, who's one of our biggest brand ambassadors out there, that is taking upon himself to create a website called Gear It First, where you can have all sorts of cool information related to DJ products, but also tutorials. And in the website Gear It First, there's a complete list of tutorials to kind of help you and guide you if you're using the Airstream Bridge DMX. A little bit more comprehensive than what we have today. Today is a little bit more of a quick overview and also a quick jump into how to get you started. Now, some of the advanced features, and we won't get into that today, maybe at a later point, is the ability to connect via ArtNet and streaming ACN. And that's really great to be able to patch in the Airstream DMX bridge to an existing network and be able to create some cool scenes and extend your range. Also, the ability to tap into another router. That's more advanced features. And being able to use my DMX with Airstream Bridge. Maybe at a later point we'll get into a video for that. But are there any questions right now related to the Airstream DMX Bridge? By the way, hi everybody. Oh, we got the chat room right here. I got my handy dandy iPad. And let's do a quick shout out. As we mentioned, Arnaldo Offerman in the chat room. DJ Locotron Rosales, bienvenidos. Marco Ceguera. Freddy Padilla, hello Freddy, bienvenidos. Ken Yaparilla, I hope I didn't mispronounce your name. Chris Ruger, Patrick Lloyd Butler III, hey, welcome to the show. Bradley McCurlin. Say hi to Elva. Elva, hi. Hi, Elva. Any happy birthday shout outs, by the way? I could gladly do those. Elva Lasso. Where are you guys watching us? I know there's from a few folks from the Middle East, from here in the United States, from Mexico, from Canada. I'd love to see my folks from Canada. Alfred ADJ Gonzalez, welcome to the chat room. Guys, this application is really great for applications where you're using it for permanent install, for a restaurant, for a club. There's a lockout feature here that I can demonstrate to kind of lock out any unwanted use of the additional features of the Airstream Bridge. So for instance, you can have a dedicated iPad, something sort of similar to this. I have a huge iPad. This is the 12-inch. This is a smaller one. You can have this as the bartenders or wait staff be able to control the lighting in a restaurant, and with the lockout feature, it will not allow them to adjust any of the parameters. It will just give them the buttons to be able to use to quickly recall the scenes. So that's also a great feature, even for rentals. So if you are using the Element Hex IPs as rental stock and you rent them out to DJs, you could also upsell in the Airstream Bridge where they can control the lighting at their events and be able to quickly and easily help them with the recall of the scenes and lock out all the other features so they don't mess up all the stuff that you've done already. So keep those questions coming. Let's see what other questions are in there. Wow, there's a lot of people on there. Okay. Let's see. Bayardo, DJ Bar, welcome to the chat room. William, Chuy, DJ Hype Castillo, Alistair Craig, welcome. You guys are awesome. How much? Great question. That's usually the number one question when people ask on our chat room is how much. For $3.99, you could take the Airstream DMX bridge home to you right now. They've been in stock for a long time, been around for maybe about a year and a half. I've used the Airstream bridge. I own one. I take it out to my personal events. As a matter of fact, the last event I did where I used it was for a disco-themed birthday party. My client was turning 70, and so naturally they went to the 70s theme of disco, and I brought out a mirror ball. I had 2 Saber Spot RGBWs, and I used the Airstream bridge to be able to do quick color changes and also color fades, and really turned out to be great. I've been wanting to edit that gig log video for a long time. I just don't have time. I'll post it up soon. It's on my Facebook page. You can follow me on Instagram too, under DJ Satisfaction. Let's see. All right, guys. Yes, $3.99. $400 for the Airstream DMX bridge. Thank you. Are you able to save the scenes and have them sync with music? If so, please take my money. Freddie, get ready to take out your wallet. Yes, you can sync up your scenes to BPM. Here's how. So we do have a feature that allows you to not only have a master dimmer that will control all the dimming on all your fixtures, which I will activate right now. If you go to your channel button on the top here, or even the scene button, this master button on the upper left-hand corner will appear. And with the master giant, huge slider, you can slide down to dim all the fixtures. So if you need a master dimmer, we have it. And aside of that, on the right-hand side, there's a tap BPM button. So let's say you're doing a gig with a DJ. You want to be able to match the BPMs to the music. And if you want, you could go ahead and start tapping and create your BPM. Here we're going to create a kind of like a house beat, 121 BPM. That's kind of where I want it to be. And now that's locked in. So when I do flash effects, which is another thing we can do. Let's see if we go to effects, shape effects, color effects, flash effects. It will give me a grid of all the available fixtures that I can create flash effects. If the fixture has a shutter or dimming DMX channel, then you could activate these flash effects, and I could go ahead and assign which flashes to go first. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 3. I could play that back. You'll be able to see that flash will be played back, and here it'll be represented here in real life, and I can have that flash effect be saved into my scenes. Really cool and easy way to create these flash effect scenes. I could adjust the intensity. So that is another way of creating flash effects. We're going to save that effect, save it in number 8. We're going to call this Flash Demo. Here we go. Button name, we're going to call it Flash Demo. Another quick tip, if you're interested, is you can name your file names in lowercase and name your button names in uppercase. That way you know which one's which, so you don't get confused. So I'm going to save that, and now that has been saved successfully. I go back to my flash buttons and my colors. I could go ahead and add my green, my blue on my moving heads, my New Year's Eve effect on my uplights, and now if I go to effects button, I could activate my flash effects. Isn't that cool? I think that's so awesome. All right, any other questions so far? Love those questions. Keep them coming. Yes, so there's a tab. A lot of you are chiming in on the tab feature. Are you able to save the scenes? Yes, well, not only can you save the scenes, but you can create different setups. So using iTunes, you can have different setups and be able to save those setups depending on what setups you use. So let's say this is my wedding setup, and I use a completely different set of fixtures for my school dance setups. And I can save it using iTunes and a computer, a MacBook Pro or laptop or desktop, and be able to save those scenes in iTunes and be able to recall them later by plugging in your iOS device to your computer. Or let's say you're transferring the scene and setups from one iOS device to another, you can use iTunes and be able to transfer those scenes to the other device. So in case you didn't know, those are the options available. What is the name of the device under the wall? Thank you very much for the question, Camille Flack. What is the name of the device under the wall? Is he talking about the fixtures in the bottom part on the wall? Those are the element hex IPs. We have 3 of them in the back of the wall. Oh, because they're white. Yeah. Well, so the new element hex IPs have a white body, white glossy finished body, and they blend into the background a lot easier. Great for uplighting. We did a video on the element hex IPs about 2 weeks ago. I recommend you go check it out. A lot of great information. And by the way, all the products we're using today are Wi-Fi enabled, or they have Wi-Fi technology built in. Especially now that we have Wi-Fi EXR technology built in. So these products will be able to send and receive a wireless DMX command using Wi-Fi EXR technology up to 2,500 feet away. So that's awesome, especially if you got a large space, large gymnasium, or even outside. The element hex IPs are great for outside events, for outdoor events. So I recommend you go back, and we even did a Facebook Live on the Visi Hex Wash 7s in case you're interested. So lots of cool information. So yeah, go ahead and fork up that dinero, Freddy. Thanks for that. Here we go, Romix Garces. Bienvenido, Romix. Patty Haggerty. Great, thanks for chiming in. Let's see. Peter Bayo, how do you duplicate a fixture? Oh, wow. Great question. I think just patching in that fixture again, I don't think there's a way. And I have to do some research to see if we can duplicate fixtures. Yes, you can. You can edit the fixture. It looks like Marco Oseguera is on top of it. Again, Marco is one of our ADJ product specialists in the house, and he is taking your questions too, fielding those questions. Can I go back after I patch the fixture? Yeah, you can always go back and re-edit the fixture. So I have the element hex pars or element hex IPs patched in. If I click on patch, I could always adjust the patch. So if I needed to add more channels to that particular patch, I can do that as well. I won't do it now because I'll mess up my whole thing. But rest assured, yes, you can customize your profile however you like. If you buy products from us or from one of our competitors, you'd be glad to know you can use your products, your fixtures, as long as they take DMX commands, you can patch them into the Airstream DMX bridge. Any other questions? How much does it cost? $3.99. It's so affordable. A great product to have, an alternate as to being able to use a DMX controller via wirelessly compared to a wired DMX controller or a traditional controller, because creating those effects in a traditional controller is a little bit more difficult, but not necessarily a computer based. It's more of an iPad or an iPhone based, so it's a little bit more easier to control. And of course, I have it here on a stand. I'm not limited to just standing here. I could walk around and be able to set up wherever I want. A wedding I did, I had set up the up lights around the room, and I was kind of off in the corner. Or if I decided, I could just walk up to the DJ and kind of control the lights from the DJ booth or from the kitchen if I wanted to. So it was real flexible for me to be unobtrusive or be more out in the open, or I could be in a dance floor controlling the lights, which ended up happening. So yeah, great thing to have as far as portability. Any other questions? Only iOS compatible? Yes. This is only for the iOS environment, your iPad, your iPhones, and I would probably recommend a dedicated iPad. So great questions, guys. And you could use almost any type of fixture, an effects light, moving head, park can, ellipsoidal, anything that could take a DMX. So if there's no more questions, guys, one last, Freddie Padilla, does it have a 3D visualizer? No, unfortunately it does not, but our MyDMX 3.0 does have a 3D visualizer. If you need more information on that, please visit our website, adj.com, look up MyDMX 3.0, and it will give you all information. If you need a visualizer, I know for a lot of guys, that's important to be able to visualize how your scenes are going to be before you even get to a venue. My DMX 3.0 is probably more suited to that. But today we're focused on the Airstream DMX bridge. It's a portable device that will connect your iOS device to your moving head fixtures, to your park cans using wireless DMX technology. And we have the device right there connected to the truss, to the totem, and you could put that device anywhere. One little tip, I do recommend have it a little bit more higher up so that line of sight is a little bit more direct. So if you're planning to use it for uplighting, maybe put it up on a table or maybe even higher up than that. That would be ideal so that that signal travels fast to your devices. I think that's it, guys. On behalf of everybody here at ADJ, thank you very much for watching. Please follow us on Instagram. We also have a Snapchat, and of course watch our videos on YouTube on all the products that we have here and the ones that are available. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.